Welcome back to Untitled Conversations. This is the podcast where we talk about everything faith, life, and the world as we know it. I'm your host, Joy, and today I have another guest. This person is near and dear to my heart. A sister from a different mister. My girl, Kiya.
What's up, y'all?
Go ahead, introduce yourself to the people. Tell them about you.
So my name is Kiya. I am just a woman of God living life, and I'm not gonna say I'm trying. I'm becoming a content creator and an influencer,
Right.
and just teaching people how to live life, how to be uniquely made by God. Y'all see the shirt?
See the shirt, yo.
Yeah, go follow us on Instagram. Yeah, but just one of the main things I want to show, like on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, is full transparency. Like the walk with God isn't hard, but I want to show my ups and my downs. Like it ain't just all
Peaches and
sometimes
rainbows.
I'm, a little rocky.
For sure. Like me last week. So to start the episode off, we're going to do a little icebreaker. Shout out to We Are Not Strangers. So I have card selections. Pick a card, read the question, answer the question, then I'll answer the question too.
Great. Sounds like a setup, but it's all right.
It's not a setup.
When you're asked, how are you? How often do you answer truthfully?
Jesus.
Recently,
Okay.
100%. In like the last 5-6 months, probably like 25%.
Right.
I think it's just because when people ask, how are you doing? We're so quick to say, I'm good.
Right.
And not truthfully like, nah, bro, I ain't making it today.
Right. And then actions as well.
Yeah.
I would say for me, being honest, I say like 80%, maybe 80% of the time. Like, and it's not necessarily, because you know how like sometimes when you aren't good, you'll say you're good just because you don't want no more further questions. Where it's just like, I don't want to go on a spiel of, why I'm not good or anything like that. So I think that's the reason behind why it hasn't been 100%. But I think it's also like the programming of like, we've been doing it for so long. So it's like,
I'm good.
We need to just, it's like, okay, if I'm not good, but it's like, okay, I'm not good, but I don't want to talk about it instead of I'm good and knowing I'm not good. So
That's understandable.
for sure. So today's concept of conversation is the little things that aren't so little, referencing the power of the tongue and how your words have power. So I don't know, you want to start about what do you think is when you say the power of the tongue, what is like your mind instantly go to?
Just the things we say. Like a lot of times we'll be joking around, or trying to think of an example. Like a parent, like when they talk to their child and they say certain things that aren't good, but they're saying it in the moment. Like, you're acting like this. The child is going to eventually become
like
what you say they're
right.
Like, you can't say certain things. Like, what you say is going to come.
Yeah. I think when I first think about it, I think we've had the conversation before, like how, like in our generation, we have like these catchphrases, like not catchphrases, but like often sayings like, oh, when we laugh, oh, I'm weak, I'm dead. But like me personally, recently, I've trained myself to stop saying either of those things. Like I could probably say it's been a year or two since I've actually like, we be laughing, be like, oh my God, I'm weak. Cause it's like why? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I think a lot of times when we think about, or when we are saying these things, we're not thinking about like how that could actually affect us, or like where did it even come from? Like, who decided to start saying you was weak when you laugh? Now, sometimes the knees do get weak, when we laugh. You buckle, but like at the same time, I think who is to say that I'm weak? So like recently, for those that may be trying to change their words, I'd be saying I'm crying, because crying I think doesn't have a negative or positive connotation to it. Whereas like weakness is like, there's no good or bad to being weak or dead. Like dead is dead and weak is weak.
Yeah.
Whereas like I'm laughing now, oh I'm crying, because I could be crying happy tears, I could be crying sad tears, either one.
Yeah. Or people say I'm having a terrible day. Like, you got to speak positive. You're going to continue having a terrible day if that's all you're saying the entire day. Oh, I'm having a terrible day. This is not working out. This is this. This is that. The day is going to continue going like that until you start speaking positivity. Because if not, even if your day starts to get better, your mindset is already on, I'm having a terrible day. Right. Because that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So my mind is already like, yeah, this is good happening, but I'm still focusing on whatever happened that morning, and it's still a terrible day.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of times, too, when, like, when it comes to what we say, it may not affect us right then and there, but it's like down the line, you never know how that could affect you.
Yeah.
Because like I found a verse that was like, this is the Passion Translation. Ephesians 4:29 says, "And never let an ugly or hateful word come from your mouth, but instead let your words become beautiful gifts that encourage others. Do this by speaking words of grace to help them." Because I think a lot of times too, when like we're having like you kind of like the parent reference that you said, like even with our friends, like I think we unconsciously talk bad about a lot of things, and then we're surprised when bad things happen. Whereas if I'm continuously speaking power into you, right? Even if there are negative forces trying to come against you, if you have a friend or a parent that's always speaking power into you, then power is going to come out of you. It's going to exude out of you.
It's just like if like you're arguing with someone, and like I had a bad habit of with my siblings, like whenever we were arguing, I would say the things that I knew would hurt them. Mm-hmm. Like certain things I know you're insecure about, like we're arguing. I'm throwing all of those out there, but all I'm doing is affirming the things that the enemy has already said about them, because those are the negatives, you know? And they become that because you're my sister. If you saying negative things about me, then what the enemy's saying must be true.
Right.
And you just got to watch certain things you say in those moments of anger too.
Yeah. Because I think too, when it comes to like saying things out of like spite, it's like, I think I thought about it the other day. It was like, if you say something to me that is an insecurity, I already know that insecurity. So it's like, if you are pointing that out and you're like poking me about it, if anything, that's going to make me believe it more, which in a sense is, like you said, the enemy already knows, so he's going to know how to kind of jab at you. So, but then the next verse, it's a little long, but I think that this one is kind of, it has a lot of power. Like, again, this is the Passion Translation of James 3:4-6. The third verse kind of talks about a horse and how the mouth controls, is a guide to a large body. But then verse 4 starts and says, "And the same with mighty ships. Though they are massive and driven by fierce winds, yet they are steered by tiny rubber at the direction of the person at the helm." Verse 5 then says, "And so the tongue is a small part of the body, yet it carries great power. Just think of how a small flame can set a huge forest ablaze. And the tongue is a fire. It can be compared to the sum total of wickedness and is the most dangerous part of the human body. It corrupts the entire body." And that's where I stopped. Like, you don't even have to read the rest of it. Like, the fact that the tongue is, like, your mouth is probably the tongue is the smallest major part of your body. Mm-hmm. But the fact that it can literally control, like, the power of the tongue is in life and death. Like, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So to think about that, or when you hear that scripture, what is, like, I don't want to say what's triggered, but, like, when you hear that, because I know a lot of times when people hear that, it's like, okay, that's kind of scary, but it's like, oh, that's a reach. Realistically, it's not a reach. Yeah. So, like, when you hear that verse, what does your mind go to when it comes to our generation specifically?
With our generation, we say a lot of things off of, I'm saying it just because Joy said it. Joy said she weak. Well, I guess when I laugh, I'm weak too. Like, we don't think about, and not just our generation that's in the world, but in the church too. Yeah. Like, a lot of times we don't read the word for ourselves. So as the pastor say Jesus walked on water, he walked on the water. But I don't know it for myself. But because I'm listening to everything that's coming out of his mouth, and I don't know it for sure, I'm just picking up off what he said. And our generation does that a lot with TikToks, social media. We don't understand the context of songs or different things that we're posting to, but because it's trending, I'm going to do it. And our generation, we just pick up on anything. Like I said, if you're doing it, it's like, well, Joy did it, so it must be okay. Right. But it's like, I don't know the context of why you did it or why you said it. But because you said it now, I'm going to say it. And then when things start to happen off of those words that I'm speaking, I don't understand. Right. But it was never meant for me to say because it was from Joy.
Facts. I think also, too, like, when it comes to, because, like, I think a big word right now is, like, manifestation. everybody's like, oh, I want to manifest this, I want to manifest that. But I think a lot of times manifestation is only put on positive things. But you can manifest bad things as well, which is what I think is kind of like the lapse of what we're missing. It's like, okay, yeah, 10 years back, I wanted to do something like or I have like, when we're dreamers, right? When you're a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? Some people manifest that, but it's like, if I'm a kid and all that is being told to me is, oh, I'm not going to be anything, then when I grow up and I'm not anything, then it's like, I feel like we don't understand that manifestation is not just good. Like, people always talk about manifestation and how they manifested the good, but nobody ever talks about the manifestation of the bad.
Yeah.
Have you manifested anything that wasn't good?
For sure. Just like, I'm trying to think of like a specific time to use.
Let's see.
I'd probably say like when I was dealing with like suicidal and depression, like I probably could have came out of that a lot sooner. But because when people would ask me how I was doing, I'm suicidal, I'm depressed. That's not the answer. Like, yeah, I'm going through this right now, but I'm believing that God is going to heal me from this. I'm believing that I'm going to come out of this. But the more I sat in it and I just kept saying I'm suicidal and I'm depressed, the more I sunk down into it. So I would say just not speaking positive. Like, in those moments, that's the time where, even though it looks like I'm suicidal and depression everywhere I look, like it look like I'm not coming out, I'm going to still speak the positive.
Yeah.
Because if I continue to say I'm suicidal and depressed, that's what I'm going to be.
Yeah. I think that also correlates to like for instance, right now I'm in school. So it's like, I can't necessarily go through something in school and be like just think negative. Like, okay, I maybe just failed this test. But it's like, the joke about like college is college teaches you how to fail a test and move on with your life. It's like, in a sense, I think that's, in a sense, positive reinforcement. Obviously, I'm not happy that I failed the test, but it's like, dwelling in that F is only going to bring more Fs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, from a school perspective, also, I think it's kind of, I think when, at this age, it's hard to only think positively. Yeah, like, with so much that's going on, so much that's hit our generation, I think it's hard to come out of it. But I also think that's why it's important to have friends that, okay, when you can't see the light, I can still, like, hey, keep going, as opposed to trying to go through something by ourselves. Because then a lot of times, I think we rely on social media to be that friend.
Yeah.
And social media is not always going to give you positive. Because if you click on one negative thing, the whole algorithm, your whole entire feed or explore page or For You page will populate negativity.
But you even have to be careful with your friends.
This is true.
Like, you got those fake friends.
Yeah.
That every time you say something, it's like, but you also have those friends that just, I don't think they intentionally do it. Like, but as soon as you say, oh, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. Oh, are you sure about that? Like, it's not that they're talking down on you, but they don't have the faith to really believe that God can really do this. Yeah. But as soon as you mention something, it's like, I don't know about that. Like, you got the funds to be doing this? Like, you sure this gonna happen?
Because I definitely didn't have the funds.
But in your mind, you like, I'm believing God gonna do it. So sometimes it's the faith too of our friends. So you just gotta really depend on God.
Facts. Because I know, like, too, like, even with our parents, not saying my parents didn't believe in me, but a lot of times I think that because I believe we are dreamers. Like, we times are different now, whereas, like, before it had to be, okay, you got to go to school, you got to get a job, whereas now possibilities are endless. Like, you can literally do anything. So I think now it's like, okay, hey, mom, dad, I want to do this. Like you said with friends. But it's like, I think a lot of times we look to our parents for a lot of things.
For validation.
But it's not always, we don't always turn to God first. I think I heard somebody was like God should not just, like, God is our father, but I think we have to view him as a friend too, because you got to think about it. If I get in trouble, the first person I run to tell something is not going to be my parents, because I know what's going to come.
Yeah.
First person I run to is probably going to be a friend. But what a friend we have in Jesus. It's like, we should run to him just how we run to our friends. And then I think that's where we could get that validation that we're looking for. That way, if we do go to our parents and ask about something, it's like, well, because then the questions come too.
Yeah. But I feel like that's the enemy uses that. Like, he knows that when we sin or we do something wrong, that we're gonna go, like, I'm gonna call Joy and be like, Joy, I done messed up. Like, instead of going to God first. And the enemy uses those things that we consider small. But that's not small. That eventually keeps us from going to God when we sin.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to keep going to my friends or to other people and feel shamed and not go to God because I don't know what God's going to say, or I don't want God to be disappointed in me. Like our parents.
Yeah.
But like you said, we literally have to put God in every aspect of our life. Like husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, sister, brother, dad, mom. Like every aspect. Because if not, you're going to miss, I feel like, and this is Kiya, I feel like you're going to miss the full aspect of God if you don't put God in every area of your life.
Yeah.
Every person in your life, like everything.
Yeah. I also think, too, I would say when it comes to friends, too, like you said, like it's important to watch your circle. But I think a lot of times, like me personally right now, I have like sets of friends, if that makes sense. So it's like I have like my friend, like I feel like you have friends that you can go to about different things, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like at the end of the day, I think too, with where I'm at in my relationship with God now, trying to grow, I also think that, or at least I've recognized that lately, people have been coming to me about questions. You know what I'm saying? Like questions like, oh, well, where do I start? Because I think we are a driven generation when it comes to trying to seek God. Are we doing it in the right places of TikTok and Instagram? Yeah. I think we have to use our discernment to discern whether or not something is or isn't. But then it's also, like you said earlier, with a pastor preaching. You can't just believe everything that you hear. And I think that that's where we kind of get misconstrued, because like words have power. So it's like if somebody, the thing that I've seen lately on TikTok is it'll pop up on your For You page. Well, there's no hashtags on this, so if you're seeing this, it must be for you. Not saying that it's not, but it's like, I think a lot of times we get caught in that, where it's like, oh, well, this is for me, let me listen, and whatever they say, it is.
You believe it.
Instead of, okay, let me take this. If it is for me, let me go pray about it. Let me go, because like you said, if Jesus may have never walked on water, but you heard it, and so you believed it. Now, Jesus did walk on water, for those that are concerned. Jesus did walk on water. Go read the Bible.
Yeah.
But it's like, for instance, the topic of like waiting for sex until marriage. Why? Right? A lot of people would just be like, I'm so glad that I just said that. So I saw a video yesterday, and it was like, the lady was like, you hear in church, don't have sex till marriage. We hear that growing up, right? We both grew up in church. You hear that in church, don't have sex until marriage. But then it's like, if you are trying, she gave the reference of like, okay, I have a claim. My claim in court against the enemy is don't have sex till marriage. If you don't have two supporting facts or an argument or a rebuttal to respond to that, how do you know wait until sex, like wait to have sex until marriage? Like, what is your claim, right? So I think in the era of TikTok and where everything can be publicized and you can have access to anything, I think that's kind of where we get in trouble when it comes to our words.
Yeah. And I also feel like people aren't teaching that anymore. And not just in church, but I feel like we can't, I'm trying to think of the right word I want to say. Like, I can't fully blame TikTok and Instagram, because it's like, that's our generation, social media and stuff like that.
Right.
But just think about back in the day, our parents and our parents' parents, and even though without social media, like if we didn't have social media right now, like people still aren't teaching the right things. Like they aren't. Like, it's like, what do we have to go off of? Like, nobody's teaching us that you should be reading your word daily. Mm-hmm. Nobody's teaching us that you should be worshiping and praying. They're just teaching us, oh, God will forgive you, and God's grace, and His love and His peace and all these things. But it's like, you're not teaching me the things to keep me going. Yeah. Like, I got enough to come to church on Sunday, but what do I do Monday through Saturday when the enemy is coming after me? And I can't go to the church house. I can't go to the altar and fall out on the floor and I can't do that. Then what?
Yeah.
A lot of places are teaching that the only way you can get God's presence is in the church.
Which is not true.
And we are the church.
Facts.
Not a building.
Facts. I also think, too, to that point, we were literally talking about it in one of my classes the other day about how, like you said, we're not necessarily, it's more so told to us. It's not taught. Like, there's a difference between me telling you something and me teaching you about what I'm telling you. Whereas, like, I know one of the older people in the class was just like, I didn't get taught, about sex. Parents just threw condoms at me and said, be safe. Don't bring home no kids, right? I think that's kind of the same thing, like, within church. It's like, okay, I'm going to preach to you on Sunday, but I'm not going to tell you what to do the rest of the week.
Yeah.
But it's like the reference of, okay, you plug your phone up on Sunday. I get plugged up on Sunday. I'm in church, whatever. That battery is not going to last me to the next Sunday. You're going to die out. So it's like, I guess, being that we're at different points in our walk with God, but we're still on a walk with God. What advice or what would you tell people based on your walk about how to start their walk or where to start? Because I think that's a lot of the times it's like, where do I start?
Yeah. I would say, like, my mom, when I was old enough to drive, my mom didn't force me to go to our home church because she wanted us to build a relationship with God on our own. She wanted me to get up on Sunday morning and go to a church because I wanted to go, or I felt like that's where God had me, not because my mom go to this church, so I'm gonna go to this church.
Yeah. And
so one thing my mom always taught me was, I don't care how much they up there hollering, hooping, and preaching, know it for yourself. Know that whoever is teaching you something, know that it's actually in the Bible and it's actually what God said. So I would just tell that person to get to know the Word, get to know God, and get to know His Holy Spirit. Allow the Holy Spirit to talk to you and show you things, and that'll guide you out. That's all you need.
Yeah.
That's like when you're driving with no directions. You don't know where you going, bruh. If you in a state, you don't know where you're going. But as long as we got Google Maps,
we straight.
We good. Make a left turn here. Right turn here. That's all you need, is the Holy Spirit guiding you. But I feel if you don't got the Holy Spirit or discernment, you're bound to go anywhere.
That's a fact. I agree. Because I think, too, from my perspective, I think it can start with prayer, but not this overcomplicated version of prayer. Because I think a lot of times, or I've had people ask me, like, how do you pray? Talk.
Because a lot of people feel like you got to, Father God, in the name of Jesus, we just want to come to you today.
Facts.
And sometimes I just be like, Lord, I need you.
Facts.
Like, I don't know what's happening here, but we need to have a conversation.
Do something.
But I think that's also another thing that's taught. We see everybody in church praying, and that might be how they pray, but we like, well, mother praying like that, so I got to pray like that.
Because for the longest, I thought that too, because my dad's a pastor. So it's like, how he pray? That may come down the line, but it's like, he's also been walking with God for longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
He's been preaching for longer than I've been alive. So it's like, I'm not going to, like, it's like, I think the expectation of, okay, this person's doing it like this, I got to do it like that. Yeah. But it's like, how I pray is not how you going to pray.
Because for a long time, I felt like I had to pray like this, on my knees. I feel like I couldn't pray no other way. If my hands wasn't together and if I wasn't on my knees.
Facts.
And God was just like,
what are you doing? Huh? What are you doing?
Or I felt like I couldn't hear God if I wasn't like this, on my knees.
Facts. But also, too, we kind of went into this, but, like, how you hear God is not how I'm going to hear God.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think when we see other people and they talk about how they hear God, it's like, well, dang, do he be whispering to you or something? Like, I don't, because it's like,
people be talking like God be yelling.
I'm saying, but it's
and
like,
I be up here like trying to get it
it's
off.
like, Lord, are you in the headphones? Like, what's going on?
He be talking like this.
Facts. But sometimes he don't. Like for me, what I've realized lately is, like, he ain't whispering in my ear.
Yeah.
Because in order for him to talk to you like this, you have to be in a place where he can hear you like this.
Yeah.
And a lot of times,
quiet place.
I've noticed that I don't have those quiet places right now. So he'll find a way to talk to you how he can reach you. But yeah, so I think that now he's talking to me through, honestly, I think it's changing right now. Because if I'm being completely honest with you, you know this, the viewers don't know this. In the month of March, right? I haven't been doing what I'm supposed to do when it comes to my walk with God. I opened my Bible for the first time 2 days ago, since the month of March started, because I was so consumed in working basketball tournament after basketball tournament, and then spring break came, and it was just like, well, and it's just like I can tell that my, like, I think I'm in a transition period in a sense, where it's like I know I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, so I know that he wasn't. It's like, I think a lot of times it's like, if you don't seek God, God's not going to seek you. He's always going to be there. But it's like, if I'm not talking to him, what does he have to talk to me back for? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not, I think it's more so. Now he gonna reach you when he want to reach you. Don't get me wrong. If your phone on do not disturb, he's still gonna get through. Okay.
That call coming through.
That call is coming through with pressure. But I think lately I was just in a period of like stall. Like, I would actively say, I'm gonna read my word tonight. I'm gonna watch a sermon today, and go to bed without doing anything. Have you had any periods like that recently?
Absolutely. Like, absolutely. And like, I'll probably say right after I was about to say my birthday, like they know. After January. Probably right after January, after I had already spoke and said this will be the year that this happens. And this will be the year that I'm gonna do this and this and that. The enemy was like, bet. Let's see if you really gonna get this.
Right.
And like probably a week after my birthday, I started struggling to read my word. It was just like TikTok was so interesting all of a sudden. Like,
For You pages flooded.
Okay, it got so bad. So I don't know if y'all ever struggled on TikTok this long, where the guy pop up and he's like, "Hey, you've been struggling for a while. Maybe you should get something to eat and something to drink." Like, it's been bad. I would just like pass him like, "Nah, bro, I'm good. I'm gonna keep struggling."
It's like, and it'd be the late night hours too. Like, you gotta go to sleep, and it's like I done seen this ad lady twice. Why am I still on this app?
But it was like every distraction, like I roller skating, like everything was it just seemed so much more appealing than reading my word. And I got to a point where when I did get back in my word, I felt like, dang, God, like God not speaking to me. Like, is he mad? But then I also had to realize God not speaking is God speaking. People have to realize that. God not speaking is God speaking. Because most of the time,
silence, what?
A lot of times we feel like every time we ask God, like, we feel like if I'm talking to you, like, if I ask you a question, I'm expecting you to answer. It's not like that with God.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may ask God a question and you might not get an answer verbally from him. And a lot of times we expect that. And that's how it was when I started getting back in my word. I was like, all right, God, I'm back. I know I was off track for a little bit.
We back. We locked and loaded.
Back, better than ever. And God was just like, and I was just like,
hello.
Where you at? I'm back. Like, before when I wasn't in my word, like, I heard you every day.
Yeah.
When you gonna pick up that Bible? When you
pick it up?
When you gonna read the word?
Pick it up.
When you gonna come back and talk to me? And then when I came back, it was just like silence. And that beat me up for a while.
For sure.
I was just like, God, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm here, I'm back. Like, you're not talking. And God was just like, the silence is there for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think it also made me pay attention to one thing I thought about one day. I was in my room and I was reading my word and I was crying out to God to hear his voice, because it almost felt like he had like shut the door on me because I was so far away for so long. I literally thought about, like, what if this is it? Like, what if God was just like, I'm good? Even though that's not God's character and who God is, it made me value God so much more in those moments, because reading our word, it's a choice.
Yeah.
We should do it, but we make the choice every day to open that Bible. Just like God, he loves us so much that he chooses me even when I don't choose him. Like, even when I don't want him on my side, he's still there.
Yeah.
So it's like in that moment, I was so overwhelmed in that moment from him not speaking now, because I was just like, God, I'm grateful. Like, even though you're not speaking, but because your word says that you're here, I believe that you're here.
Because that's like when you, so like for instance, it's always like, if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it'll, whatever, like it was meant to be.
Yeah.
I think that's like, because like a lot of times you don't appreciate someone or something until it's gone. So that like plays on what you said. It's like literally, it was a different level of gratefulness when it's like, okay, I'm used to, we chopping it up. I'm in my word. We talking, you talking back. But then I also think it's not always going to be, excuse me, an immediate response. Like, I think a lot of times it's like, okay, I prayed. What's up?
And I think we get accustomed to that. Like, almost like, this is a weird comparison, but this is the first thing that came to my mind.
Okay.
Almost like a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
My nieces and nephews, when they first started talking, like they say their first word, you want to hear them talk all the time because this is like amazing that you said your first word.
Right.
And sometimes they're like, not today. I'm not talking today. I'm not saying mama. I said it 50 times yesterday. I'm not saying it today.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes that's how it is with God. Like when we first start that walk with God and we start hearing God and feeling his presence all the time, it's like,
I want it.
I want it every time. God, every time I say hey, I want you to say hi. Like every single time. And it's like, God's like, girl, relax. I'm here.
I'm always here.
I don't have to. And here's another thing. It plays into our faith too. Because a lot of times we feel like God ain't speaking, God not here. And God let us know, like, I don't got to be talking to be here. Facts. Like, I'm here regardless. But the fact that you need me to speak, it means you need me to affirm my presence. You need me to affirm that I'm actually here when I've already said that I'm here.
Because that requires no faith.
Yeah.
Dang.
If God spoke every time we asked him to speak, there's no faith. Like, I don't have to question that God is here because all I got to say, you here? He said, yeah, I'm here. But if I say, God, you here, and I don't hear nothing, I have to have faith. Like, I ain't stressing. Like, God cannot speak to me for the next couple months. I ain't saying that, God. But God cannot speak to me for the next couple months, and I still know that God is here. Yeah. Because I have the faith knowing, and I know what the word says, and I know that God will never leave me nor forsake me, and that he'll always be there. Yeah. But if God spoke every time I called him, that's no faith. I don't have to try nothing. Like I said, all I got to do is say, God, you here? He's like, yeah, I'm good.
Like, you good? I'm good.
Yeah.
That's because that's been where I think that's where I'm at right now, where it's like, okay, I haven't been doing what I was supposed to do for the last couple months, but it's like now that I've like gotten back into like kind of my rhythm, he's been silent. And I'm just like, well, I know you're here. Yeah. But it's like I have to continue to, it's like I think it's like you can't stop when you don't hear.
Yeah. Because the enemy uses that.
Facts. The enemy uses a lot of things.
Like Jonathan McReynolds' song, cycles. That's literally how the enemy keeps us in cycles. We sin or we fall short, and he makes us feel guilty about going back to God. And so we continue the cycle. Because think about it, if I'm not reading my word and I finally say, okay, I'm going to come back and read my word, then I start feeling guilty. I start feeling like, dang. I start going back in that cycle. I'm not going to pick up my Bible because I don't want to hear what God has to say. Yeah. Like, I don't want God to fuss at me.
I don't want the conviction.
Can't run. So it becomes a cycle where it's like every day I'm looking at that Bible like, well, nah, I'm good. I don't know what the Lord going to say, so I'm good. Yeah. That's literally what the enemy does.
Yeah. Because I could definitely say, like the other day, me and Amara were reading, and the conviction was there. It was, and we kind of just sat in it. Because like sometimes like when something happens, sometimes you just gotta like sit in it and just like reflect. Yeah. So that is exactly what we did. We sat, we reflected, and because we were both in kind of like a similar space, we're like, we know we should have been reading. I looked at the Bible and I was like, something happened. I get distracted easily. Yeah. So got distracted and then went about my day. But it's also like, I think I used what was going on in the outside world of like me being so busy. It's like you're never too busy for God. Yeah. So it's like I used that as a crutch. It's like, well, I can't read today because I didn't get back to my room till 11 because I just got back. You know what I'm saying? Now I got to shower. Then I got to go to bed because now I got to get up early in the morning. Yeah. That, like, God doesn't operate in our time. So it's like when it comes to, like, you have to make, like, you make time for the things that you want.
Yeah. So and we have to realize, like, all of these things, like, God could take away.
Absolutely.
Like I said earlier, I like to roller skate. And there was one point in time where when I first started skating, you would always hear me say, skating is my peace. Skating is my peace. Skating is my peace. Not thinking that it was slowly taking over God's position. It was becoming an idol. And a lot of people think idols had to be people. It could be things that you do. Because skating definitely became an idol for me when I first started. I would every post I made about skating is my peace. This is, this is what keeps me calm. Whenever I was mad, frustrated, angry, things going on in life, I would go to tennis court and skate anytime. And literally, I ended up getting something called swimmer's shoulder, where basically, like, anytime you rotate your arm or anything, it hurts, like, really bad. And when I skate, I move my arm. For sure. And I couldn't skate. The doctor was like, you can't skate for 2 months. Like, you got to let that heal. Like, you can't lift anything heavy. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything but sit in the house. And I was miserable. I was like, God, I can't skate. God was like, yeah, because that's not your piece. Like, that's a little activity you do. But when things are going on in life, like, you need to be coming to me, not picking up skates and going to the tennis court.
That's how to play on your words, too. Because you replaced skate. Like, like that was your piece. So it's like, okay. God was like, okay, that's your piece.
We literally have to remember that God could literally, like, take that away from you just like that.
Yeah. Dang. I ain't never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
You taught me something.
My feelings was hurt. I couldn't even go to work. I couldn't even make no money.
Just in the house. Because now it's like you don't have no choice.
Now it's like I'm just looking at the Bible looking at me. Like, sis, we here all day.
Pick me up.
You might as well read me. Like, what we doing?
Got nothing else.
And as soon as I started reading, God was like, yeah, take a break from that. And now every couple of months I take a break from skating. Just because skating is fun. And it can be a lot, but skating is fun. But I also have to realize that, I skate and I love the joy that I get from skating and stuff, but skating isn't my God.
Talk about it.
Oh, you want me to go into that?
No. That was a word that you
okay.
just kind of just dropped the mic. Nah, I definitely think that, because I think too, a similar situation to that was sports for me. Like, I want to work in sports. Everybody knows that. I want to work in sports. I played basketball. Y'all see the basketball. I played basketball, and I know, like, I was working tournaments for 2 weeks straight. And because it was early rise and late, like, return, it was, I'll get to it tomorrow. Then the tournaments ended. Spring break hits, and it's just me.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, the Bible is going to look at you until you look at it, okay? It's going to stare you down, and if you choose to acknowledge it, that's on you. But if you don't, then it's like stuff, like, at the end of the day, God is going to make stuff happen to bring you to him, if that makes sense. Like, he could take it all away in an instant, because then you're going to call on him, Lord, what happened? Me.
Oh, now you coming to me?
Me.
When I take this away?
Yeah.
And we also, like you were saying earlier, like, I had a bad, like, when it came to skating, like, skate parties and stuff, like, 12 midnight to 4 in the morning. I would get back to the hotel by, like, 5:30, 6 o'clock after showering and stuff. I'm like, Lord, I know I'm normally up at 6 and 7 praying, but I've been up all day.
Yeah.
And God's like, I don't care. Like, there are so many times where if I don't read my word before I go to sleep, when I come back from a skate party, I can't sleep. Yeah. I'm up. Something's wrong. Somebody's making noises. Like, and I've made it a habit of when I go on skate trips, because they're normally like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Mm-hmm. That Sunday, I'm going to a church in that area.
Yeah.
Wherever I'm at, whether it's Atlanta, Florida, Texas, wherever. Like, I'm praying, God, show me what church you want me to go to today. Yeah. Even if it's me watching online. Because just because I was up all night don't mean that God don't deserve the time he should get.
Facts. Because you chose this. That was a
choice to go skating for 12. You know how many rinks is open during the day? I decided to go skate at 12 midnight to 4 in the morning. And if God has told me that, hey, we getting up at 6 a.m.
We getting up at 6 a.m.
Ain't no getting up. We not going to sleep. We staying up at 6 a.m.
You're staying up and you're going to spend that time.
Yeah, like, and then I would sleep like a baby.
Sleep nice and peaceful.
Yeah.
Because now that you bring that up, I can relate, because there was a day during spring break where I was with some people, we watched a movie or whatever, and normally my your 6 a.m. is my, like, 11, 12, you know what I'm saying, early morning, you know, whatever, but still before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
And watched the movie, went back to my room, and we're just in my room. I had a horrible night of sleep. Like, I went to sleep, it was probably like 1, woke up by 2, tossing and turning. I'm like, Lord, why I can't sleep? He didn't respond. It was the silence.
Yeah.
Like, just silence. I was like, well, rolled over, tried to go back to sleep, woke up again. All it probably would have took for me to sleep like a baby was for me to open my word how I normally do before I go to bed. Because it's just something about before you go to sleep, spending that time with God. Even when you wake up in the morning, too. But I think, for me, the nighttime.
See, I have to do morning, because when I wake up, the first thing I'm doing is my mind is running with all the things I need to do, things I didn't do yesterday that I need to try and complete today. Not even just from today, but this week, this month. Like, my mind runs crazy. Like, when my birthday ends, by the end of my birthday, this year, I'm already planning
next year.
for the next birthday because
100%.
my mind is always going. So in the morning time, if I don't get that quiet time or that still time with God, all day my mind is just going and going and going and going.
And that just like me and Maya the other day were just we were talking. I think I made a post of like how you like have to like bask in today, because if you're spending too much time, I think it was like don't get consumed in the thoughts of tomorrow because you'll miss out on today.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, like I'm guilty of that. Like I'll be thinking about what I need. Like right now, I could be thinking about what I need to do tomorrow. I'm not, but it's like I'm not focusing on this moment, enjoying today, because I'm like, well, dang, tomorrow I got to do this, and this. But it's like, what do you have to do today? Like, what is today gonna bring? Because tomorrow's not promised. So it's like, if I'm spending all this time thinking about tomorrow and next week and next month, like, I think there's a reasonable, like, bound to, because obviously, like, you have to prepare for what's to come, but that doesn't mean dwell on and only think about what's to come. Because if you spend all your time planning for next week, you're gonna miss the week, and we'd be like, dang, it's next week already? Yeah, because you wasted all of last week thinking about next week. And I can say I've literally done that.
Yeah.
Recently.
Since we on that topic,
go ahead.
People do that too when it comes to prophecies and different things that people tell them. Not just prophecies, but things that God has told them. I'm going to just go ahead and say this. Like when we waiting on our spouse.
We going there?
Yeah, we going there.
Okay.
Because as soon as you said it, that's the first thing I thought about.
Okay.
God be like, yeah, you going to be married. We be like, boom, where you at? Yeah. Like, I'm trying to be a wife. He like, God, like, I can't even get you to be committed to me daily.
Facts.
And you out here dwelling on him.
Talk about it. Because what? Literally, I'm so ready to get married. I'm so ready to get married. Are you, though? Like, are you whole and complete in yourself?
Can you date God?
Whoa.
And not cheat on him? Think about how many times we cheat on God. And he come back. Just think about it. God should have broke up with me a long time ago.
We should have been separate. Divorce papers should have been signed.
We can't even marry God.
That's crazy.
And want a man or
I
a woman.
want a husband, but I can't. What?
We want kids and can't even take care of ourselves.
Whoa, okay.
I'm just being honest.
No, you
like we can't clean up after ourselves, but we want kids.
You can't take care of your room at your mama's house, but you want an apartment.
You want $1 million paying job, but you can't pay 10% on $100 a week.
Whoa, talk about it.
Like the things we be asking God for, it don't be adding up.
It doesn't. The math don't math.
God, I want a car, but when I'm driving my mama's car, I done got about 50 tickets.
Yeah, that.
Like
you know what?
Things we ask for, it's like, and then we dwell on it like we right.
Facts. But then when we don't get something, we be mad.
Then we be mad.
Be mad.
God, I thought it was my husband. Girl, bye. How you think? I can't even get you to talk to me every day.
You want to text this little. You want an instant response from this little boy, but you can't talk to me.
Yeah, like just
that's.
You don't buy groceries for yourself, but you want a child. How you gonna feed your child?
You must be stopped. But it all rings so true. Like,
I got one tear coming down from this side.
For those that are just listening to the audio, Kai's crying right now.
It's just one tear.
Just one. Eye is watering. That is all. That's all very, very true. But
and
then
we dwell on those things.
That all goes back to our words.
Yeah.
It's like, because my thing is too, like, God will use your words, and so will the enemy.
Absolutely.
That's why I think it's important, because, like, speaking about that, like yesterday I wasn't feeling good, right? But I was like, I had the thought of not feeling good, and I had the thought that I could feel good, right? It's also a choice of which thought are you going to give attention to. I could have given attention to the thought that I didn't feel good, and I probably still wouldn't feel good today. But the fact that I literally was on the drive down here, I was just like, I feel fine. Like, I'm good. Yeah. I'm going to be fine. Whatever it is, Lord God, take it. Whatever the negative is, take it out of my mind and only give me positivity. So it's like, in that case, when it comes to, I want a husband, okay, you want a husband, but it's like, I'm not gonna give him to you on your time.
Yeah. Or this is.
You in these glasses? Push
I'm
them up.
about to say something. So, I'm a huge like Tyler Perry fan. Love Tyler Perry, and he made this great, and I still go off of this to this day.
Okay.
And one of his plays, he was talking about how we pray, God, I want a good man. God, I want a good man.
Mm-hmm.
But then when God says, okay, I got the good man for you, but you got to go through 3 relationships before you get to him. So after you get to the first one, he break your heart. You're like, man, God, I want a good man. I want a good man. Right. All right, God, like, you got 2 more. But then we give up before we get through the other 2. Like, we want the good man, but we don't want to go through the things to become a good woman for the good man.
Mm-hmm. Or just like with anything. Like, it all takes a process. Like, yeah. You want something, but it's also, I think we get mad when it doesn't come how we want it to come, or when it doesn't look like we want it to look. Because God could be like, that's your husband.
And I'd be like, God, he ain't 6'5". He ain't 6'1".
He's supposed to have a fade, and when I saw him, he was supposed to have a fade, 6'5", and be an athlete. But it's like, that might not be what I need.
Look over there, he 5'3".
That's facts. It's like, he's going to give you what you need, not what you want. And I think that's where we have to do like that self-evaluation. It's like, okay.
Like, I had to stop telling people. I used to tell people, like, when they be like, I'm trying to, get my relationship with God, I'd be like, how bad do you want it? No, not how bad do you want it. How bad do you need God?
Facts.
We want God whenever it's convenient for us. Mm-hmm. And I need something at the moment. Then I want you. I want to call your name because I need you.
Or when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Lord, why?
Yeah.
But it's like, if you would have...
How bad do you need God? How bad do you want it? How bad do you need him?
I think that's a great question to end on. Because what?
How bad do you need him? Not how bad do you want him?
Talk about it. Yo, oh my God.
I ain't never did that before to this episode.
And you know what? That's just like that.
Yep.
We just gonna end right there. We gonna end right there. So, man, that was something right there. That was something. You know what? Y'all probably gonna see Kiya again for sure, 100%. There might be a part 2 to this conversation.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. There will be a part 2 to this conversation, wherever the Lord leads us. So after a great conversation like this, make sure y'all go like, comment, subscribe, and share, and go follow us on social media on Instagram and TikTok at untitledconvos.podcast. Again, that is untitledconvos.podcast. And you can follow us on Twitter at untitledconvos. I'll see y'all next week. Thanks for watching. Peace.